BLM did felt they didn't need to be here.
We have to? Yeah. I guess I'll do it then. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, as always, I thank you for everything good and bad that you've given to us. The good, for obvious reasons that it's good, and the bad that you teach us a lesson from it, I guess, is the way I look at things in life. For those that have died, especially to a young soul in Magdalena, that for whatever reason you decided to take the 1-year-old, I'm sure you're taking care of him. And that's a nephew of my daughter. So going forward, help us make clear, solid, sound decisions on whatever comes our way here at the local level, and just be neighborly and do the right thing, and even if it borders legal matters. But as long as we do the right thing, I think we'll be okay. And the same nationally, we give our national leaders some guidance in these exciting times, I should say. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen.
Amen. Pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico as the symbol of my united cultures.
Roll call.
Commissioner Felix Montoya.
Here.
Commissioner Danny Monet.
Here.
Commissioner John Aguilar.
Here.
Chairman Joe Gonzalez.
Here.
Vice Chair Craig Secretary.
Here. Okay, item number 6, approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, if there's no changes, I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Monet and a second from Commissioner Montoya for the approval of the agenda. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, agenda is approved. Item 7, approval of minutes of February 11th, 2025. I have a motion to approve the February 11th minutes from Commissioner Monet and a second from Commissioner Aguilar. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, the minutes of approval, the minutes of February 11th are approved. Okay, committee and department reports. There's any written ones, oral ones?
Julie.
Hearing
He's
none,
always verbal. He's always verbal.
We're going through a whole list before we get up.
hearing none, we're moving on to item 8. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, Julie.
Good morning, you guys. I don't have much to say really. I just wanted to let you guys know a couple of things. Is we're debating whether to send our notice of values out right now. We've asked for an extension because of the veterans exemptions. We haven't heard back from Santa Fe. I think it's going to committee, the Senate committee tomorrow morning at 8:30 supposedly. And then after that, then it goes to the governor's desk. So my thing, I had talked to Mr. Andy about whether I should just send them out. I'm ready to go. We've added our veterans updates on them. But I don't know if we should wait because we did get the extension, or just go ahead and send them out because we don't have, I don't know when the governor will sign off on it. She could take June or July. She could do it right away. I don't know.
Mr. Chairman, has the affiliate taken a stance on, or is there a majority mailing them or not mailing?
We have, I talked to 5 of the counties, McKinley, Valencia, Lincoln, Sandoval, and Bernalillo. They're gonna mail out on time. So, I'm ready to go, and
Mr. Chairman,
we should just.
legal, do you have an opinion on that?
I believe that the governor has 20 days to sign a bill. So if 20 days isn't gonna hurt you, then it's fine. But I believe, this is constitutionally mandated legislation. And if there hasn't been a lot of, back and forth, then it's gonna probably go through because it's constitutionally mandated. So, I mean,
I think we're pretty sure she's gonna sign it.
then there's no harm in sending it either. So, I mean.
Because if we ask for the extension, we can't send them out to May 1st. We send them out May 1st, that pushes everything further back or forward or whatever. We've got to wait for everything to go
I
through the
don't see why it
process.
wouldn't get signed though.
So you're sending them off with the anticipated changes, signed?
Yes.
So,
Mhm.
yeah.
With the 10,000 change it, not with the other one, because that won't be done they haven't even sent that to, or talked about that at the committees yet. That one won't be till next year. With that, percent, disabled. But we're ready to go with them as far as, I just kind of like, that's why I talked to some of the other counties to see what they thought, and they're gonna go with it, they're ready to go. One of them already has them at the printer, but we have to have 2 weeks to get them, we have till Friday to get them to the printer, so we can have a week for them to do it and a week for us to check them and make sure they're okay, and then mail them out April 1st.
And the recourse, if you send them out late, I guess is what?
We can't, that means we can't send them out to May 1st if we don't do it
No.
April 1st. So we send them out May 1st, then we got 30 days for protests to come in, that's till the end of May, beginning of June. July, we have to have certifications, we can't do certifications because we won't have protests ready. And it's just a ripple effect then.
Yeah.
I'd rather send them out if I can, I'd just rather go with it.
I think so.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything that's stopping you, I think.
All right, then I'll be sending them out, so you guys will be getting them. Hopefully, if everything goes good.
You could send mine out late, everybody else.
Another thing too is, when you talk to people who you think are veterans, make sure these veterans look at those notice of values. There's a lot of people, I kind of did some numbers. We went from 2.3 million in veterans exemption to 5.34 million in veterans exemption. That's just the 4 to 10. That's not what's gonna hit us next year. Okay, so they need to make sure they look at it, to make sure they got their full 10,000, if they, some of them are less, but they up to 10,000.
Is that number solely on the amount of changes or increased amount of veterans, I guess is?
That number's on the change, the value change. We still have more or less the same amount of veterans, but
Yeah.
now instead of 4,000, they went to 10,000, that's 6,000 for each.
Oh, yeah.
Each different veteran, each added veteran on that. And then next year will be the disabled percentage. That's gonna be hard, because that's gonna be a percentage off of the value of the taxable value of the property. So you're gonna lose a lot more than what you're losing here next year. Because I think they're anticipating something like 40,000 disabled veterans in New Mexico, and we only have, with all the counties, there's only like, I think they said 15,000 on the rolls. And those are 100%. So now this is gonna bring a lot of those, they're gonna go 10%, 20, 30, 40, 50s, like that. So that's gonna be a rough one for next year. But everybody needs to let them know that if you're disabled, if you're a veteran, regular veteran, let us know, make sure they check with us on those exemptions. We have people calling all day long on that. Another thing is that, valuations, our office is gonna start evaluations starting next week. So we have our guys out there checking your properties.
They're early, that's all I can tell.
We have an office rechecking, because what's gonna happen is property
That's
tax is
good.
gonna come down, they are coming down this year, the last 2 years they didn't, because all the stuff that happened with COVID the previous year, but this year they're coming down, and they will go to your property, and if we have it wrong, they're gonna value it themselves. So we have those guys out there checking everybody, rechecking and rechecking. So there's that, and I think that's it. I just, wanted to let you guys know the values are hopefully going out, and the thing, and then I'll have our values, because you had asked me for some values, then I'll have those. I kind of have them, but I'm not 100% yet. So, and then we'll have our reports to the commissioner and stuff in a couple of weeks. Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah.
All in
Go ahead. Oh, you're going up next. Okay.
They deserve it. But I think
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Athena from the Compliance Office, Athena Gasumas. And I know that the county manager is going to be presenting on some things, but I just wanted to give a quick verbal. Obviously, I've been doing a lot of work at the detention center since the loss of Vanessa. And I'm just here to say that the detention center and the staff have really stepped up. And we've been working very well together, and I know that the county manager can attest to that. A couple of things. I know that Andy's going to speak on the fast type, which is great for the mental health contract for the detention center, which is vital. I'd also like to stress that that also physical doctor's help for the detention center be considered moving forward, and I know that the county manager is working on that. Additionally, I'd like to put a plug in for my dentist, who's Dr. Roland Sanchez, who I just came from. I gave him a call because we lost the dental for the detention center here in Socorro because they moved, and I called Dr. Sanchez up, and right away he said absolutely he would help the detention center. So now on Fridays, folks that need medical are going up to meet with Dr. Sanchez and have whatever is necessary be taken care of. So I just sort of wanted to just put in some positive plugs about what is happening. And like I said, I know that the county manager is going to present on the rise and some of our other contracts that are coming up. So just thank you again for all your continued support and everything that we're doing. And things are moving forward really well. And like I said, the staff at the detention center, since I've been working with them so closely lately, I'm really super impressed with everything that they do over there and the things that they're handling. So I wanted to put in a plug for the staff. So thank you very much. That's all I have unless you have any questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Acknowledge manager's report, Virgil.
Thank you, Chair. Members of the commission. So the first one is going to be the San Antonio Drainage Project. So this is the one that's been numerous years working on. Happy to say we did the final walkthrough on the first part of that project. We have the diversion now going into the MRGC canal. Everything else has been there except for the first part of the project. The first part of the project was supposed to be the actual drainage diversion pond. That's still on hold because BLM has not transferred the land. So we haven't been able to break ground or do anything on that first part of it. So we've had the numerous meetings and discussions with BLM where they were promising that they were supposed to have that letter to us by January. We still have not heard anything back pertaining to the transfer of that land. So this goes back to discussions for my predecessor's predecessor. And they kept pushing it off and giving us different statements as to why it's not there. But there's nothing actually that's physically that we can see on our end of anything that we can do differently to be able to do this. It's their land, has to go through the federal regulations for the authority to transfer. It went to the public period for public comment. No negative comments on it, so it should have already been signed off on. So I'll be following up with BLM to find out the status of that, because that's really the major component of that project is that diversion pond that needs to go in. But everything else has been signed off on, so we're good to go with that entire project. The other one, the courthouse project, we are nearing completion on that one. We did the final walkthrough on the main part of the courthouse. Everything passed. We now have the elevator that's operational again. So we have that. The last part of this project is going to be the stucco work over on courtroom 3. And so we should be finishing up with all of that. So probably come the beginning of April will be the final walkthrough for the entire courthouse project. And hopefully by then I'll be able to bring you some of the numbers of the cost savings of heating, cooling, and electricity that's going into effect. But right now, if you've been up in either courtroom 1 or 2, you'll notice you don't have any more street noise. And when the wind's blowing, you don't have all that dust blowing through everything because of the gap in the windows. So that project has gone very, very well. The next one is going to be the City of Socorro Ambulance Service negotiations. So you have received the email with the statements that were provided to the City of Socorro, as well as some of those crunching of the numbers. So we're going to continue crunching those numbers to figure out exactly how much the City of Socorro is making from their inter-hospital transports. Those are non-emergency transports. And so that's where the majority of the profit is being made. And so we'll have those numbers. But if we actually did any of the other crunching of the numbers, when we take into the inclusion of the ambulance fee that we're diverting back to the city, plus the 2 positions that we said we were going to pay for, that brings us right into the neighborhood of about $260,000, which in and of itself would pay for the 3 positions. So there's nothing really stopping the city from being able to implement that at this point. It's just for other political reasons that the city's not wanting to work on that. For the legislature, I was up there last week, as well as today was County Day at the state legislature. So we had 2 individuals there today representing the county. And so we were able to actually get them on the floor today to be recognized. The meetings up there went well. We're still working on some of the other initiatives and some of those other things that are coming along. So hopefully we'll be able to see some different types of remuneration come out of this session that's going to benefit Socorro County. There's been a lot of discussion pertaining to the Learning Center with NRAO up at the VLA. So that's going to be one of those main focal points. And the nice thing is that I was able to meet last week with the representative of both senators, so both Senator Heinrich as well as Senator Ben Ray Lujan. And so they're also looking at being able to include the NRAO projects as well as County Road 71 into some of those federal dollars that they're going to be going after to help support Socorro County. So it looks like right now there's been really good discussion on both sides of the aisle being able to help us out. So we'll see what comes out of the state on this one. The next one is the RISE and the other grants for the detention center. At the February meeting, you all approved the other grants that are impacting the detention center. And a lot of this focus now is in-house treatment, what we're actually providing within the detention center itself. So that's one of the main focal points of how we're driving with those discussions. And so that seems to be going really, really well. When speaking with Senator Heinrich's office, they were absolutely amazed at the welding program. And that got us in the door to talking some of the different things that we might be able to do. So it was one of those first steps that they really liked, the continuing education, and how we were talking about also bringing in forestry to be able to do all of the cutting of trees, as well as some of those first aid programs. And so we might be able to leverage that for some other programs as well. Now come to the big one, County Fire Department. This is going to be the elephant in the room for the next several months to year, really discussing what we need to do with this. For years, we've had a diminishing role and ability to attract volunteers. That if we continue with just the volunteer program there with the County Fire Department, we're going to be where we are now, and that means we have fires to where we are unstaffed. We don't have the ability to send out full crews to these fires. So what we're doing in the interim that I presented to you last month is we're turning some of those positions that we currently have through our emergency management department into slash firefighters. That way we're going to be able to maintain our own county facility up at the Solero building. to be able to respond to some of these different fires. The other thing it's allowing us to do, we'll be able to get paid staff to those different departments to be able to oversee the equipment and to do some of those necessary operational tasks that are currently falling behind and really hindering our ability to keep the equipment operational. But some of the discussions that we're going to need to have with the upcoming budget cycle is going to be looking at years 5 and 10 from now. What do we foresee the actual county fire department looking like? Because we're going to have to eventually transfer into a hybrid system to where you have both both have the paid as well as the volunteers. One of the things that we're currently working on with right now with Socorro Consolidated School District is to try to get a firefighter training 1 program there in the high school to where we're going to be able to have individuals when they reach their 18th birthday get their firefighter 1 certificate. So these individuals will be coming out of high school ready to have jobs. But that's only one portion of it. Even if we implement that, we're still looking at 2 to 3 years on down the line before the first individual has that certificate. So we're still looking at 3 years of us not having enough volunteers to be able to staff what we need to do at San Antonio and specifically then up in northern Socorro County, up there in that district. So those are going to be some of those things that we will be having further discussion on as to how we need to be able to figure that out. The next one then is our GROW grant and Northern County Patrol. That program, want to really thank Senator John Sanchez for that GROW money. We've been able to maintain the sheriff's presence up there in northern Socorro County, and we've dealt with a tremendous number of issues that would have really gotten out of control if we wouldn't have been implementing that 6 extra hours of patrol a day. So that's really been beneficial in reducing a lot of that risk. Well as I've still been maintaining by every 2 to 3 months, having a meeting up there in the Veguita area, meeting with the residents at 6 o'clock at night. We go normally until about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. So that way I can deal with some of those issues that they have, and we're dealing with it one-on-one instead of having the continuous phone calls and emails that go through. We're now addressing it on that one-on-one basis up there. And then the last thing I want to have here is the ICIP. So what I want to do is when I start preparing the budget and presenting it to you is also have those discussions about our ICIP list and where some of these tasks are going to fit within it. That way our budget helps support what we're trying to do as far as capital outlay. And then it's not on the list, but it's one that I want to include. We just had a meeting to where Abrazos home builders have come in and they're looking at putting in 30 to 32 homes here in Socorro. That there are currently lots available over back behind the Mormon church. And that's where they're looking at bringing in some of that construction to come in. But this is huge because, as you all know, for the last 10 years, we've been looking at trying to get some type of housing to come into Socorro County. And this was our first time ever having the presentation in front of not only the county, but the city was next to us, as well as tech, as well as NRAO and some other community members. So this is going to be and the school district. So this will be one of those things that hopefully we're going to be able to start, because what we're trying to do with the Brazos is not just come in for the 30 to 32, but have a second phase ready for another 30 to 45 homes that can go in. And that way we can really start to address that sound that you hear at 5 o'clock with all of the traffic rolling out of Emmertech and everything else heading up north, as well as the school district being able to have the teachers here. So that's a huge step in the right direction for us.
Anything else? Any questions? Okay, item 8C. I have one. Where's Abrazos from? Okay.
Out of Albuquerque / Santa Fe, that they've been doing a lot of their construction right now is up there. outside of the Mariposa division up there in Rio Rancho.
Okay. Okay, 8C, acknowledge commissioner's report. Commissioner Montoya, you have anything to report?
No, we still working on the issue with the roads.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Commissioner Monet,
No, sir.
Commissioner Aguilar,
No, sir, not at this time.
Vice Chair Sakatara,
No, sir.
myself, no, just like Philip asked, we had that meeting with the BLM as far as the road concerned, and there's a little bit to be done there, so we are working on that. So. Okay, next item is acknowledge March birthdays. Anybody want to do that? I haven't seen.
I can do it.
All right,
Randy BOCC Maintenance Department, March 6th. Selena Salas Detention Center, March 8th. Dominic Montano Sheriff's Office on March 10th. Samantha Vasquez, Manager's Office, March 22nd. Carlos Valenzuela Detention Center, March 22nd. Wesley Haynes Detention Center, March 25th. Diego Chavez Detention Center, March 29th. Sounds like the detention center's having a party.
yeah,
Jason Fain, DWI program, March 29th.
happy birthday. Item 9, public comment. During this portion of our meeting, we welcome your suggestions and want to hear your concerns. This is not a question and answer period. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. The county commission is not able to take action on matters discussed during public comment. Speakers are requested to state their name for the record. Do you have any public comment?
Nobody else, well, I will.
Yeah. Oh, might go into the microphone.
Okay. My name and what else? Address,
No, just your name.
Brad Bowling, from Northern. So I apologize, I was out of town when I guess she had a meeting last month regarding the roads and who's on the maintenance list. I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention. It was about a little over a year ago that I was in here. I addressed the county then about Joaquin Drive. It didn't have a name on it at that time. It did, but nobody knew what it was. So I addressed the board at that time, and Joe, I think you may remember I was here, and Mr. Duggins, we had a discussion and everything, and so it has been great. I want to say thank you to the board for that. I just want to make sure it does stay on the maintenance list. I don't know if there's any discussion. I'm still researching where the lines of the county, it's where the county road crosses the railroad tracks in the canal. So it's a little blurry about whose jurisdiction of what part of that. I haven't had a chance to talk to Mr. Monette yet about it, but I hope to in the future, but I just wanted to address that and say thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I forgot something in my report that I wanted to make sure that Commissioner Secretary was aware of, that yesterday was a holiday, but anyway, I worked anyway at the detention center. We had lots of assessments and also a meeting with behavioral health. They actually came down from Alamo. So we are working closely, and I will ensure with the county manager that everything that we're doing and all the contracts and the grants also include that, or continue to include, I should say, our partnership. But they really want to move forward with greater partnership and greater involvement. So I wanted to let you know, and also the county manager, and like I said, I forgot to put that in my report because it was yesterday, but I wanted to make sure that you were aware of that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that's it. Okay, item 10, public hearing ordinance 2025-01, amending the Socorro County Personnel Ordinance 2016-02 to provide benefits to appointed officials and allow appointed official participants in training and certification reward programs. So I guess we have to take a motion and go into public hearing.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. And then if you would, I'll explain it and then you open it up to the public.
Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead with your motion first, sir.
So we need a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
second,
So we got a motion from Commissioner Monette and a second from, call it a tie from Commissioner Aguilar and Commissioner Montoya to go into public hearing. So we're in public hearing over ordinance 2025-01.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, pursuant to New Mexico law, at the last meeting, the board directed that this item be published for public hearing. At this meeting, you have the ability to take public comment. Afterwards, you have the ability to adopt the ordinance, which if you do, it goes into effect in 30 days. Certainly not adopt the ordinance, or you can change it. You can modify it as today and adopt portions of it as you like. But basically what this ordinance does, first of all, the first part, you'll see it in your packet, what the underlined wording is what's added to the current ordinance, which is what's amended. The first part of it really is just kind of cleaning up some language regarding defining appointed officials. We know what they are. They are referenced in the ordinance, but this, I just wanted to clean up some of the language. I thought this would be an appropriate time to do it if you passed it. So that's really not the meat of the ordinance. What the meat of the ordinance is to authorize appointed officials to receive certain benefits. Currently, what the ordinance does is set a salary cap of the appointed officials as a percentage of the elected officials that they're hired for. Now, remember, appointed officials are unique in this county, and the appointed officials for the public are the chief deputy assessor, chief deputy clerk, chief deputy treasurer, under sheriff, and sheriff's executive. And what's unique about it is they really do not fall under the personnel policy or under this board's purview. All other employees fall under this board's purview as far as making regulations and control. The appointed officials, the only thing you really set with appointed officials are salary provisions, is compensation provisions. The reason is because the elected officials have a statutory right for these certain employees. They can hire and fire them at will. They can be slave drivers and say you're going to work 100 hours a week, or they can say, all right, you're not going to you don't have to do very much at all. You don't have any control. Not that this would ever happen, but for example, I mean, take it to its logical extreme. If an employee went through the drug testing, let's say the reasonable suspicion drug testing policy, and was found with all sorts of crazy illegal drugs in their system, well, then a normal employee would go through the termination process. They're not subject, appointed officials aren't subject to that. Theoretically, just saying illogical extreme, theoretically that, they could be found with every drug in their system in the world, but you have no right to address that. Only the appointed official could. And the appointed official could say, oh, well, and allow them to keep going because that is their employee. So again, what this ordinance does is it defines it, but it also allows them to participate in two programs. One is when you grant, let's say, when you granted additional funds for COVID, or for instance, by resolution, you might give an addition to payroll. This would allow them to participate in that instead of being just stuck on the 90%. The second thing that it does is allows them to participate in section 9.9 of the personnel policy, which is a training and a rewards program, which is not to exceed $250 for various training that meets certain criteria. And then also not to exceed $500 for New Mexico County Edge program. And it sets forth an additional payments of, these would be one-time payments for additional training and, let's say, additional training and certification. All regular full-time employees are currently eligible for this benefit. Now that's not part-time employees or temporary employees. It's regular full-time employees who are eligible for the training certificates. And I'll when you open up the public comment, I'm sure we'll want to hear from the county clerk. So she's advocated for this. Some of the benefits are, we like our employees to be trained, and the more training they can get, the better. And that is, one reason for it. Another reason against it is what I explained, reasoning against it was what I explained earlier, is that you don't have any control over the employees. So for instance, one, County Clerk A may say, there's no way you get to go to these trainings, and County Clerk B may say you go to all the trainings and get all the benefits. So you're not, since you're not like a regular employee, you don't have those same, you may not have the same opportunities, or you may have more opportunities. And so changing the pay from something that is just set as a standard rate is giving away some of that control of the purse. So there's pluses and minuses to it. It is a complete policy decision. So I would suggest you open it up to the public.
So, any public comment? Didn't we vote on that already, and we're in public comment?
No, so you'll close public comment, and it's later on I think it's the next agenda item, and you would vote on it. So
Yeah, but we're in public comment
you are
now.
currently in public comment. So you probably want to hear from the clerk, maybe the
Anybody want to
manager.
speak to this? The
So
clerk?
actually, yes, Mr. Chairman, I have printed out the policies, there's one for each of you, of the New Mexico Edge certification $500 reward that I didn't have in front of me last time. But this I have asked, Betty and I are going on to achieve another certificate through New Mexico Edge. It will take us a while, but when we're done, I asked for her to be able to receive that $500 increment for getting that certification. Previously, as my time as chief deputy, I acquired 2 certifications and was given the $500 for each certification. Also previously, as my time as chief deputy, I was awarded COVID pay, I was awarded any one-time pay adjustments for holidays, those types of things. So I'm asking for this to have clarification on whether appointed officials will continue to receive those benefits.
I will say this, and of course, policies are up to interpretation, but I believe that our current manager is interpreting right. It says regular full-time employees, and an appointed official is not a regular full-time employee. They may be a super full-time employee, they may have to work 80 hours, but they are not under that definition. So this puts them under the definition, or as the clerk said, clarifies and says no, because we've now gone through this process.
And the 500, and there's another one here that says $1,000. That's not a salary increase, it's just a one-time reward, stipend, so to speak.
Yes, that's right. For a benefit for completing a training that should have something to do with helping them do their job better.
The other one is $250.
And the county is paying for their school.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chair, at this time, if I may,
Yes,
may
please.
speak onto this, I stand in strong opposition to this attempt to change this language. That basically what this language is attempting to do is they're looking to have their cake and eat it too. So when you're talking about the creation of the stipend program and what it was supposed to do is, number one, already for these elected officials and their deputies, the county is paying for the class. The county is paying for the mileage to get to the class. The county is paying for the food while at the class. And the county is already paying for the hotel room while taking the class. Now, in reality, what these classes and what this stipend was meant to do is we have a perfect example here at the day with me sitting up here. So if I may go ahead and point out Tommy, who works there at the treasurer's office. This is who this program was actually designed to try to support, because in order for her to get this EDGE certification, she would actually be losing out on her pay to go to these classes. So this is an award that was meant to be able to tell those regular full-time employees, thank you for taking that extra initiative for something that they normally don't have the ability to do. Because while our elected officials and their deputies are going up there to these classes anyway as part of their regular duties, our regular full-time employees are left back at the office because we have to have somebody down here to deal with the public. So it's one of those that unfortunately if we look at the last 8 years of that training program, we have the current deputy clerk who was already taking 8 of those certifications through the last 8 years. This one that's currently there and being offered at this time, she would already have been able to sign off on and take there in the last 8 years. So now they're coming back and trying to say, hey, I'm now in this position, give me an additional $500 above the $13,000 raise that they were already given a couple months ago. The optics of this for the county look very, very bad because we're trying to award those people that have already been awarded, and we're leaving behind those employees who this program was meant to be created to give them an avenue to get them something that they wouldn't traditionally have the opportunity to get. That's why I'm standing in 100% opposition to these changes, because in essence, what we're doing is they're telling you, we don't have to abide by your personnel rules and regulations, but we want all of the money that comes with those personnel rules and regulations. So that's why I just don't think it's something that I would support.
Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Yeah.
Just for a little clarification, so over the past 8 years, there was not 8 certifications. There's a whole curriculum that is involved with these certifications. It took us about 2.5 to 3 years for each certification that we acquired. So we can't just get them all together right away. Now I have taken office and we're going to continue with that education. So again, it's not just you go to one class and you receive that certification. It takes years to get them.
And if I might, I want to just clarify something in the ordinance. We are talking about 2 different things, and the clerk pointed this out last time. And I just want to say you can pick and choose, but there's 9.9 in this ordinance that would allow basically what the manager is talking about, which is New Mexico Edge and things like that. There's also 9.10, which is, for instance, if a county, if one of the chief deputy officials would to go out and work on a bachelor's degree, then they would be eligible for that sort of tuition reimbursement, which they would have to do with that on their own. So those are 2 different provisions that we're discussing on allowing the appointed officials to take part in it.
Sure. The question was, okay, so Manager Luck, in terms of, so you were talking wage and what else was there?
So we're talking the wage, we're talking the EDGE certification, and we're talking the tuition reimbursement program itself. In other words, what?
No. Earlier you said meals, hotel.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mileage.
Is that what we're doing right now?
Yes. So right now, when we have those elected official and department official trainings up in Santa Fe. In other words, we went up there just this past January for one of them. So what's happening is for all of our elected officials and their deputies, the county is paying for their food while they're there, their lodging, their transportation. All of that is being taken care of. Now, at the same time, while our elected officials and deputies were being pampered by having all of those services provided to them, we didn't have out of the clerk's office any regular full-time employees being taken up there to take these EDGE courses. We didn't have any of the treasurers, regular full-time employees, being able to go up there to take these courses. We didn't have any of the other elected departments being able to go up there and take these courses that everybody else was already being able to take them. That's why I'm saying it's a double standard here, that they're getting all of these benefits already. Now they want the additional pay to go along with it that our other employees don't have the ability to get because they're back here manning the true work of the county.
So was it not available to them?
That was going to be my question.
Yeah.
Why weren't they?
What was the reason they didn't?
Well, I will say, I'll let the clerk and the manager can answer the question, but legally, yes, you can send a regular employee to, and if they're doing their job, they get paid, for, if that's part of their job, and you send them to the Association of County or whatever training it might be. they're eligible for it. Now, whether or not they go, I can't answer that question.
So, sir. So these certification, correct me if I'm wrong, so we're talking about every year, is it where we get, or what's the duration to get one certification?
So it took us, we received 2 so far. We have a certified public official certification and a certified New Mexico County Clerk certification. It took us about 2.5 to 3 years per certification. There's a lot of classes that we take to acquire those certifications.
Just like a weekend thing, right?
It's not just you receive one certification and you're certified. There's a whole curriculum behind it.
Okay, so we are talking about $250 and then also on top of that, $500 in regards to the amount. And since we are already doing the wages, the tuition, the lodging, the transportation, I mean, we're only talking $250 and $500. Yes, I understand where you're coming from, in terms of, and then also, I think, it's not like $500 every month that, okay, I went to a training, here you go. Here's my certificate for that certificate participation. I want my $500 every month. No, it's not. It takes the duration of a whole year pretty much to do one certification, roughly.
Thank
And
you,
then
Vice Chair, Secretary.
Number 2, and I've already said this last meeting, I want you to refrain yourself from making statements like, oh, $13,000 raise. No, we're not here for that, okay?
So would all of your employees be able to take this class? I know that they seem like they take a lot of time, right?
It does.
So, that's just my question.
So there is the possibility, we have offered it to the previous employees that we have.
Right.
They all didn't want to, they were busy, some of them couldn't. We're on the brinks of getting a whole new staff in there, and there is an option for employees to do Zoom classes for it at the times that they're offered. If we can take employees, we'll take them, but it all depends on.
There is an
what
opportunity for
office
other employees other than the deputy and those type to take those same classes, but it does take some time frame and
Yes.
commitment to your job, basically, I would think it is.
If I may, are we paying for the classes? Are they charged? Are they free? Are these courses free or?
There is a $175 fee per class.
And that is not covered for our regular employees. That fee is covered for our elected officials and their deputies, but not for the regular full-time employees. That's why this bonus program was put into place to help cover those expenses, because one of the things I cannot do right now is I cannot mandate to the elected officials that a certain number of their employees gets to take these classes every year, because they're elected officials, so they make that determination themselves. I can't set a policy, because I would love to set a policy that says this number of your employees will take these classes every year and will cover the expense, but I cannot give those directives to elected officials.
I guess my question is, why don't we have that for our regular employees? I guess is it a state statute says that the state's going to pay for it? Is it county policy or?
No, this would be something that we would be able to put into effect. But in regards to Commissioner Vice Chair's comments previously, you'll notice the other thing that this is opening up, it's not just this $100, $200, $500, $1,000. This is opening up that if we give our regular full-time employees raises, this language opens up those deputy clerks to also get that additional raise. So if we were going to be giving a 5% raise to our regular full-time employees this next year, that means that those deputies would then be eligible for that increase as well. So this isn't limiting what we're doing here. It's opening up all of that salary increase.
Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
This might be more of a legal question. I don't really see how that opens this up for those other increases, since this is just an incentive to try and get them to get educated on this. How does that open us up to where if we give somebody else a full-time employee, how does that open us up to where we have to give it to the appointed officials?
And I think that it's one of those things, if manager's concerned about that language, I think he's talking about section C, in 13.2. We can tighten. I don't think that it does, because it does additions to payroll, which are not salary, which are not their salary. But we can tighten that language up too for the manager.
Oh, you're talking about Christmas bonuses?
Yeah, that's like a Christmas bonus, but yeah, I certainly see.
One-time salary adjustment, to be politically correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry. So I guess I have a question for Julie. Do you have the similar type classes in your department? I mean.
Yes, I've taken quite a few of those classes, but my main concern was sticking with my certification for appraisal. That's mandated by state for me, and the deputy would need to be certified. I haven't gotten anything out of it yet, but hopefully we're going to hearing on that, and next month or something, or this month?
We don't know at this point.
Oh, okay, well, I guess that's out of the question.
But I guess certain trainings within your office are available.
Like this last one, I took Donna and I took Pedro. I started Pedro taking these courses since he's doing mapping, because I wanted to get more into the mapping stuff. And I've been having, Donna's been taking them all these years. I've already instructed Donna to go ahead, because they could take them online on Zoom. I told her, go ahead and start doing them on Zoom, so you can get some courses, get certified. I think I lack maybe 3 or 4 to get one of the, I don't know what they are, but I haven't done. I mean, they do take a lot just to get one. You have to take they used to be an hour course. Now they're doing a 4-hour course. Each course is like 4 hours, 10 questions to pass the test. And then basically it just tells you the overrun of what they're talking about. And you got to take so many to get CPO and JPO or PO or something like that. And that was one of my things too, is when you're talking about this does not include our stipend for the IAAO. Okay, just to make sure, because I don't want, that's certified. We have to do that with state statute. But I think, I allow I'm like Michelle, I've asked other employees, they don't want to take them. And that's fine. I can't make them. They should take the IAAO. They don't want to. That's a big increase for them to get every year if they wanted to pass and get certified, but they don't want that. And I've offered the edge courses. They don't want, but those that do, I let them take them. I mean, it's only to benefit us. My deputy, she's state certified already, because she was certified when she worked with the assessor's office before, so she's already certified. And she will start, I don't think you've taken an edge course now recent, no? No, so she'll, when she goes to these conferences, she will start taking them. But I remember when they used to give them, I think 5 cents if we took an Excel course, we got like 5 cents increase in our pay. Not the elected officials or the deputies, but everybody got, they were just to give them an incentive to get more education,
Mr. Chairman, I think, money is always an object, but if we can educate our employees more to better our community, I think that's a win-win in my book.
I'm hearing some people want to take it and some people don't, and that's no fault of the system. It's just,
just they don't want to make that. And we have to go to either Santa Fe or to wherever the summer conference was. Now we don't have to, they can do it on Zoom in the office at the time. I think they're getting ready to offer a week-long, usually around March or April, they offer a week-long series of courses that they can take it. And of course, my office is bigger. I have more people. So if I take 2 extra people with us, it's not going to show. I got people in the office, whereas like these guys don't. So they can't just, get up and take everybody for a whole week down there. But those classes are offered. You have, let's say you're doing something on deeds. You do the deeds for 4 hours one day, and then the next 4 hours, if you take that evening course, you do a different subject. And then you don't have to take any more. You could just take 2 classes, or you can take three, I think it is 3 days worth or 2 days worth of
They start with 2 full days and a half day before
Yeah.
they have the opening
before
session.
we have our meetings and stuff. You can take them, and it's, I mean, I think they're worth it, I think.
Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Sure.
Be totally frank with this, I'm kind of right down the middle on this. I can see both sides of the story, but I do agree with what Commissioner Aguilar just said about better educated our employees, the better off the county looks, I feel. I think whether you're elected or an appointed official, and in this case, we'll talk about the appointed official, you know, it incentivizes them to want to get educated where they serve the public better and they do their job better, you know, and I still, if we just need to tighten up the wording where they don't qualify for other incentives such as stipends or a one-time bonus or something, I think we should look at that, but I guess we'll vote on it in a minute.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Sure.
My recommendation at this time, because based upon what Commissioner Aguilar was pushing forward about what other incentives can we give our employees, what else can we do? What I would like is for this to be tabled for another month to give me an opportunity once we start looking at the budget numbers to be able to come back with a training program that would be better than this, to build upon it, to be able to address the rest of the employees and figure out why they're not wanting to partake in this. And if we can truly get an incentivized program to be able to address everybody and bring everybody up rather than targeting just this 4 individual, let's target all 103 employees of the county and try to figure out how to incentivize and bring up the whole program.
Yes.
But currently, do we have the other 100 people, do they have the opportunity for that right now?
For this, no.
You mean in terms of like if somebody wants to go training, so that training is not paid for them or anything like that, meals or anything like that?
May I?
Go ahead.
It's in my understanding that it's up to the elected official, that office, if they have employees that want to go and whether that elected official has it within their budget to send them or not, because it does come out of the individual department's budget to send them to these classes. And I failed to mention earlier, I do have my CPO and it took me 3 years to get it. I mean, it's very time consuming. That was starting meetings at 7:30 or 8 in the morning, not getting out till 9:30 or 10 at night, and you get 1 hour break for lunch. So, I mean, it's not like you're just sitting there just hanging out. You're actually working to get through the classes.
If I may, I think I hear what Andy's saying. I hear what he's got, because it's like a two-headed monster. We have elected officials and appointed officials, and then we have, for lack of better words, general employees. And he feels like the elected and appointed officials have all this to achieve better pay, whatever you want to call it. And there's nothing in place for the general employees.
Well, this is currently for the general employees. We're just trying to include the elected officials.
Okay.
We're saying the reasons that, for some of the reasons that Andy said they're not included in the current policy is, their rate of pay is set, at a square.
But is it specific just to those courses?
This is adding appointed officials to the benefit program that only regular employees are eligible for.
Which is
That was my question.
which is the 500 and the 250.
And the tuition
The
reimbursement.
general employees don't have maybe I'm wrong, an understanding of where they can go in their departments and advance outside of these two things that we're talking about. I think that's what Andy's trying to say.
Right, that right now, I cannot control the elected officials' budgets to be able to mandate a certain number of training hours be made available to every single employee in the county. So what we have is, and in fact, we have a whole other subset of employees out there with emergency management as well as the manager's office that these classes don't just generally pertain to. So what we have is trying to figure out how are we actually going to be able to get the dollars flowing to maximize our investment in our employees. And in looking at the investment that we're wanting to make, This language here is only investing in 4 individuals, not the full 103 employees. And so that's why I'm requesting that. I think we take another month, we table this, and we try to figure out, once we start getting the new numbers for FY26 coming in, how can we actually set aside a true programmatic development? Because when we're looking at these numbers, one of the things to remember here is the money is available as long as the money is there. And when you're looking at what the county put into the coffers for this program, even if we pass this here tonight, I still wouldn't be able to pay them anything because it's already been exhausted for this fiscal year.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Andy, we're looking at, we have 4 appointed officials, correct? And if they went to the EDGE classes and got their certification, we're talking $2,000 total, because we're only adding 4 people to the total stipend. Thank you.
5.
And that's one time. Okay, 5 people, so $2,500, and it's a one-time payment over the next 4 years. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, is it still open? Public comment?
Yeah, it is.
If I may,
Sure, absolutely.
once again, Brad Bowling. I'm glad Julie brought up, that was one of the questions I had. So do these certifications result in a pay increase to the employees?
No.
Not to the
Not a guarantee.
Every department's a little bit different, if I may. Because Julie's and certifications within her office, becoming appraiser 1, appraiser 2, appraiser 3, they bring up a little bit different incentivized payment than any other department, because they have a special taxing account that they can use to incentivize those people.
statute.
Right.
Yes.
This has nothing to do with that.
Right.
Okay, well, I'll echo with it. I applaud people that want to take it upon themselves to make themselves better and serve us better. I will say that the caveat is more money doesn't always equate better employees. Okay, so I'll put that on the table. I think the selection of the elected position, how do you prevent, from a concerned citizen, how do you prevent that from being abused? Okay, that's, I don't know if there's any roadblocks or checks in there for that. You're totally entrusted in elected officials, which, as you guys are, you're all elected, right? So we're entrusting you to look out for our betterment. That said, you also hired the manager to represent you. And so at this point, I'm going to have to defer. And I like his idea about setting up an actual training program, because if we have a deputy position, my thing is whenever I had a deputy and I'm gone to class, that deputy's filling my shoes back home, right? Both of them going, and I know the classes aren't probably offered, randomly where you can switch out. But I think that's a concern that should be taking place, is there should be somebody filling that office if they're gone. So that's the other thing that we, as Murphy's Law goes, when you need them, they're gone. So on a class or whatever. So anyhow, I just wanted to offer that comment from the public. I don't know. It sounds like you got a lot of discussions yet to do, but thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we exit public hearing, go on to item 11.
I'll second that. Can I? Yeah. So we got a motion to get out of public comment, go back into regular session.
Vote on it.
Roll call vote, or just
Yeah.
roll call vote?
Chairman Joe Gonzalez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Craig Secretaro,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner John Aguilar,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Danny Mohammed,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Philip Montoya.
Yes.
So we're out of public comment and back into regular. So now, item 11 is presentations. Do we have any presentations?
There are no presentations.
Item 12, action items, consideration of ordinance 2025-01, amending Socorro County Personnel ordinance 2016-02 to provide benefits to appointed officials and allow appointed officials participation in training and certificate rewards program.
Motion to table till the next meeting.
I'll second that. So,
Can I make a comment?
sure.
If you guys heard, I just want to let you guys know, as you guys heard, manager had a very strong opposition of this piece, which I understand. I do understand both sides. I also understand manager's side as well. Then I also understand the requestee part as well too. But my thing is, my biggest concern is, coming to us with a very strong recommendation of strong opposition, it tells me a lot. He could have came to the table and said, hey, you know what? I don't like this, but here's my recommendation. He had a whole month to think about that, but he already had his mindset. And in terms of, and I do believe, that I did hear Mr. saying that, money doesn't, great also great employees. I also do commend people stepping forward and making the best out of the situation, but in terms of this situation, in regards to, like I said, it should have been, knowing very well that, coming into the situation, that there could have been a contingency plan in place. So I just wanted to make that note.
Okay. So I have a comment to make too, I guess. I voted to table, or I second to table it, just because I think that giving Andy some time to see what other avenues we have for the, like I said, general employees, for lack of better words, I think that's important. I think if it's all on the table, I don't see that this is a big budgetary thing. I see that they probably deserve it and so forth, but at the same time, just human nature, the other employees are going to feel like they're getting left out. What can I do? Well, we're going to try and figure that out. So that's the way I look at it. So, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of the table? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
So we have 4 in favor, 1 against. So motion passes to table ordinance 2025-01. Item 12B, consideration and resolution 2025-25, PMS Services Inside Detention Center.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, request to table. This is still just a placeholder, and we're still waiting on the finalized language to come through.
Is this the second time that this is being tabled?
I believe it's the third.
Third. Okay. What actually are we waiting for?
We are waiting on PMS. They are still meeting with their higher ups, trying to figure out if this is actually something that they're going to be able to fulfill and go forward with. That what this is a piece of that pie for the detention center, pertaining to when Athena spoke earlier about the actual physical health. This is that component of it. It's a huge thing that the county's been working on for the past, at least that I know of, 12 to 15 years. So it's a huge piece that we're trying to do. And so PMS is doing their due diligence to see exactly what type of a bite they can handle right now to be able to provide this for us. So it's one of those that we don't want to just push them into something that may not work.
I understand that, I understand that, but my question, again, in regards to managing our agenda, and then also, we have that 72-hour, which is Friday morning was a cutoff, and if you didn't hear anything by Friday morning, you say, let me scratch that. Now, if somebody looks into our records, it's going to be four months running that this item has been tabled.
It's one of those that weighing the pros and cons of that type of decision where we're
not understanding what I'm saying.
But the reason it's being left on and not just taken off is so that it remains there because it's a placeholder for PMS to be able to show them that we're still wanting this, we're still pushing this forward, waiting on them. If we just take it off, then it gives that impression that PMS, we might not be interested anymore. So that's why I agree with you. It makes sense to take it off. But in the long run of trying to look after the best situation for the county to be in, it's easier to table it than to remove it and possibly end the discussions with PMS.
I do have one question though. I know we're looking at PMS and hopefully they do help us. Do we have a secondary option on the back burner?
Hopefully something out there. Right now, this is our best hope. There are potentially other things out there, but nothing that would actually be able to come in and fill this piece of the pie the way that PMS would.
Got a motion to table? Anybody?
We'll make a motion to table 2025.
We got a motion to table 2025 by Commissioner Montoya and a second by Commissioner Aguilar. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Items 12C, approval of contract with BOCC for mental health services inside detention center.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. So this goes to those previous comments to where we've been talking about those resources being available inside the detention center. What we have here is the ability to provide behavioral health within the detention center, which is one of those big bites that we're trying to do. In other words, the question previously was, what other opportunities do we have? This is one of those other opportunities that we have by leaving PMS where it was on the agenda. Fast Psych came to us and said, we've seen this on the agenda. There's some way that we may fit into the equation. This is that piece that now fits into that equation to where this is what I'm recommending to you that we approve this contract, because this will be the first time that we have behavioral health being able to be provided within the detention center, not having to take our detainees somewhere else or having to wait right now what can be 4 to 6 weeks before any behavioral health services are being offered to them. So this is why this is coming with my recommendation that we enter into this contract.
So my question, Manager, so this would alleviate any dilemma pertaining to any of the inmates in regards to mental health, right?
Correct. This is going to give us the ability that if somebody is experiencing a behavioral health situation, they're in the detention center right now, we would be able to get them connected with a behavioral specialist within an hour. So this is absolutely something that we definitely need to have, and it's something that has never been able to be provided to us.
Does this pertain to inmates coming into the facility or are already in the facility?
Both.
So if there's an arrestee coming in that's having issues, they're available to come evaluate them?
Yes.
Thank you.
Didn't we at one time have like a volunteer mental health person? No,
We did it at one time.
a while back. Yeah. Okay.
But I think this is again a more comprehensive approach. Now this, of course, this doesn't answer everything. There may be somebody who needs, much more intensive treatment, and then we're still back in the boat of trying to get them to somewhere else, which we deal with a lot, and I know Athena does as well. But this is it's a big piece to have this sort of thing.
Just for some clarification, Commissioners and Chair, currently, so this will fill all the gaps, so it's absolutely necessary. But currently, for the RISE program, we do have a psychiatric nurse who is also available for emergency, which she filled today. We also have a psychiatric nurse that comes in and handles our tribal members. So those gaps are being filled. They have been filled for multiple years now. It's just what this does, and I back it 100%, is the 3 o'clock in the morning or something that they can't get in touch with Alamo, or they can't get in touch with our psychiatric nurse, Marcia, for whatever reason, they are, available sort of 24/7. So, but like I said, this is just so you know, it's not like they haven't been receiving services, and the psychiatric nurse that's contracted under the RISE program fills in for anybody at the detention center as needed. But this is something that will just really just be a full assistance. Okay, the folks that are working there now, what we're hoping for is that they'll collaborate and get to learn from the psychiatric nurses that we currently have about the detainees. So there's a partnership, and then moving forward, if their contracts are no longer needed, then that funding, I'm going to presume, is then going to help fund the FAST side. So just from some clarification, thank you.
That was my question. It's a budgeted item funded by county, or is it one of the grant program? The rights.
Right now, it could be either. So as of right now, we're able to fund this solely through our general fund budget that we had over there for the detention center. Now, in the future, could we use grant? We could. It could be one of those things, but as of right now, this is a budgeted line item that we have available for. That's why I'm recommending we can sign off on this right now.
So do we have a motion?
So, I'll second.
Which one was it? C, no?
See,
So we got a motion from Vice Chair Secretary and a second from Commissioner Aguilar for the approval of contract with Fast Psych for mental health services inside detention center. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's passed. Okay, item D, consideration of budget amendment resolution 2025-34, internal budget adjustment transfer for position requisition for assessor's office in the amount of $51,337.52.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. This is actually just a procedural item that all we have to do is, right now, there was a position that needed to be filled at the assessor's office. We're just merely moving how we're going to pay for that from one line item of the assessor's office to the other. But we just have to show that we're doing it, and any line item transfer has to come before the board. But it's highly recommended, especially with the work the assessor's office is doing and will have to do next year.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, a quick question. Reading through the paperwork, the money that originally left went to the GIS. Is this the same person, or are we going to have two mappers in the county? I was a little confused on that.
No, this is actually not a GIS mapper. This position is actually going to be helping out with the regular assessor duties.
But it's because one person is no longer, they moved in to be a mapper. Is the way I read it. Pedro moved up to be a mapper, correct?
Commissioners, okay, so what happened, I know we don't want to hear about the past, but about 16, 17 years ago, we had a mapper in our office. We didn't have a GIS department at all. Because of things that happened, they did away with it. So we hired Gail. And when Gail came into our office as a mobile home clerk, they realized she had mapping experience. So they decided to create a whole new department, a GIS department, and put her in charge of that. And they moved her over here, which left our office without a mapper. We need a mapper every single day. I mean, we've got people coming in that need legal descriptions. They need to locate properties. We have to have someone that can locate properties for us. And when we have the GIS person over here, we can't do that. What Pedro does, he's learning it. So we moved him into that position because we brought Elaine in as our deputy. So we just finished a big project for a conservancy. So we do those things constantly that we need a mapper in our office. So when I put Pedro there, that left me a spot open for an appraiser. I have to have at least 4 appraisers so I can send them out 2 at a time. I have just hired 1 person, so that gives me 3, but we really need the mapper in our office. It just makes more sense instead of bringing them Well, now we have to send them all the way over there to the other
So-
place.
I guess that was my question. So GIS is still gonna have a mapper as well as the assessor's office.
So he'll do different duties.
They do different duties because you have the 911 is actually what's at the emergency management.
Okay, all right, thank
We
you.
don't- we don't
That was
do
my
that.
question.
And
Thank
we do
you.
stuff like for the clerk's office for voting and stuff, and if we don't have a mapper there, they're gonna have to go every day or however often they need to go to the annex, and that's what we're trying to do. We wanna compensate, pay, that money that we took away from our office, bring it back to our office. If we had room for a GIS mapper, I'd bring him back here with us too. But
Thank
we
you.
don't have space, unless you wanna close our little thing out there.
So you jumped from 17 years, what year did Gail leave?
Gail was,
Kidding, just kids, just joke.
you don't want, I can stay here all night.
No, don't be a kid.
So do I have a motion?
Motion to acknowledge.
Second.
So I got a motion to approve budget amendment resolution 2025-34 from Commissioner Monet, a second from Commissioner Zacatero. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, item D, approval of transfer of donated supplies to Puerto Seguro for the sick and indigent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. So this item is one of those that we have all kinds of leftover donated supplies that was meant for Ruidoso. Ruidoso Fire never wanted it and said, no, we have no need for it. We have currently 3 different units parked behind us over here that are just sitting there that I can't dispose of unless we have action by the board approving it. So these are towels, plastic bags, pillows, different types of things that Puerto Seguro could use right now and put them to good use. So that's why I'm coming to you, is before the mice get in there and get into all of this stuff, let's put it to use here in the community. So that's why we already have an agreement with Puerto Seguro that we're providing sources to, so we can just piggyback on that and just get this done.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion from Commissioner Monet and a second from Vice Chair Zacatero for the approval of donated supplies to Puerto Seguro. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item F, acknowledge personnel changes. Want to do that?
Mr. Chairman, Nieto, Barre from Sheriff's Department, Anderson Tino Detention Center, Jose Gonzalez Calma, Emergency Management, Fred Berger, Emergency Management.
New hires.
New hire, termination, resignation, and a new hire.
You just have to acknowledge it, right? You don't have to vote on it? No? Okay. Item 13, financial action items. Approval of vendor checks and approval of payroll checks.
I'll go ahead and make the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize, but you do need to vote to acknowledge it.
Oh, yeah.
Motion to acknowledge.
Motion to acknowledge. By Commissioner Monet, a second by Commissioner Montoya. All in favor? Not in favor? Motion passes. Acknowledgement passes. There you go. Okay, item F, acknowledge personnel changes. 13, financial item, I'm sorry. Financial action items A and B, vendor checks and payroll check.
Okay, I will go ahead, can you hear me? Okay, I will go ahead and make a motion to combine A and B. A, approval of vendor checks dated for March 3rd in the amount of $510,461.76. And then item B, approval of payroll checks, first dated for February 6th in the amount of $214,826.53. And then the second dated for February 20th in the amount of $310,141.99. In total of payroll checks of $524,968.52.
The second,
Second.
So we got a motion for approval of vendor check from Vice Chair Zacatero and second from Commissioner Monette. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Pay the bills. Okay, executive session, motion and roll call vote to go into executive session, and that pursuant to New Mexico State Statute, Section 10-15-1, only the following matters will be discussed in closed session. Pending or threatening litigation, New Mexico State ethics, B, personnel, Josh Foster, C, real property, Quebradas Road, Vicente de Cruco Road. Need a roll call vote.
Chairman Gonzalez,
I was gonna make the motion.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
We got a motion from Danny Monet to go into executive session. Need a second. Now the roll call.
Chairman Gonzalez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Secretary,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Arroyo,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Monet,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Montoya.
Yes.
We're in executive session. Okay, need a motion and vote to go into regular session?
Mr. Chairman? If you want to.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Make a motion and roll call vote to matter discussed in closed session to limit to those specified in the motion for closure and that no final action was taken as per New Mexico State Statute 10-15-1.
I'll second.
Roll call vote?
Chairman Gonzalez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Secretarial,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Aguilar,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Monet,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Montoya.
Yes, ma'am.
Item 15, appointment of Adam Steinke and as interim fire chief for Northern Socorro County Fire Department.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second from Commissioner Monet and a second from Commissioner Montoya. All in favor? Opposed? He's the fire chief.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Item 16, appointment of Heather Donaldson as interim assistant fire chief for Northern Socorro County Fire Chief.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Got a motion from Vice Chair Secretero and a second from Commissioner Aguilar. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? She's the fire chief, assistant chief. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Consideration of resolution 2025-29 adopting the 2025 annual certified maintained mileage report.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we table this item and schedule it for 2 weeks from today at a regular time of 5 o'clock on, I don't know what the date is.
March 25th.
On March 25th. And that'll give us time, after working with the county manager, we will have a public workshop here in the commission chambers on Friday, the 21st at 9 a.m. to discuss these matters with residents that are interested in those. And we will be sending them an email tomorrow regarding that.
I'll second.
Motion from Commissioner Monette and a second from Vice Chair Secretary. Table resolution 2025 till the March 25th meeting at 5 o'clock with the workshop sometime next week. You said the date, Friday?
Yes, sir. It'll be Friday, the 21st at 9 a.m.
Friday, the 21st here at the annex. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is tabled. Next commission meeting will be March 25th at 5 o'clock.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn? Pardon. We are adjourned.
Thank you, sir.
No.
No. We've all signed, yeah.